Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I'm here with Joleen. Joleen, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Joleen is another person that I met on Instagram. So if anyone has not listened to one of these podcasts before, I posted on Instagram by the time this comes out, probably a few months ago, and said, I'm starting a podcast. I need people. I need anybody to talk to. Anyone under the age of 35. If you're under 30, if you're 35 or under, that counts. Let me know if you want to talk. And so Joleen commented on that Instagram post, and we got in touch. And you actually do a lot of fun stuff on Instagram. I'll let you tell the people about that in a minute.
Thank you.
But my first question, I guess, for you, were you already following Around the Circle, and that's how you saw
Yes, I was.
the post?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long have you been following those guys? Do you know?
Somewhat more recent, maybe last year. I get a lot of Enneagram pages like suggested to me. So yeah, they just popped up in my suggested, and I saw some clips and I was like, yeah, I love them. They really dive deep into every number and different topics surrounding the Enneagram and how it applies to real life. So yeah, I like them a lot. And that's how I saw your post for podcast.
Yay.
Yes.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself. Can you tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you're doing these days, also maybe how you came into the Enneagram in the first place and what number you are?
Yeah.
Anything you feel like the people should know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Joleen. I am born and raised San Diego. I am 32 years old, under the 35 category still.
Yay.
I am a new mom. I just had my firstborn 7 months ago. So very, very happy. I love it so much. Baby boy. And I have known about the Enneagram at least a good decade. I think the first time I took a test was maybe in high school or early college, when I was really diving into all of those like personality quizzes. I was big on Myers-Briggs at the time, and for years.
It was also big at the time, right?
And so the first time I took the Myers-Briggs was in high school, so I assume maybe it was around that time also. But at the time, there wasn't as much information available about the Enneagram or about sixes, much less, or what any of that even meant.
Right.
So I just read.
Probably all that was out there was really bad.
And so I just read
sixes.
this brief description of sixes, and I surprisingly tested as a six the first time around. I know most sixes do not. I got I think the second one closest was like an 8, and I'm like, that makes sense because also I'm countertype 6. So and I just was like, okay, cool. Just the description is very brief. It does not dive into sixes really. And so I didn't really come back to it until I'd say over COVID. So 2021, someone else I was very close to was getting into it at the time and diving into this personality quizzes, the self-help and all of that. And so I was just like, I saw the Enneagram. I didn't really it didn't stick for me, the description. And I'm just not, I didn't really get into it. I'm really big on Myers-Briggs. Once I like something, that's my thing. That's all I want to do. And so I was all Myers-Briggs. And they're like, I think you should really look into it, because I think that it's going to be a lot more helpful. You're going to be a lot more interested in it. I said, okay. And so we started talking about it more and more. And now there's a lot more resources available, a lot more people talking about it. And so I did a lot more diving into sixes and everything that everyone had to say and more about it. And I was like, oh, this is way better. Yes. And so since then I've been stuck with it. So yeah.
What do you think makes it, if we have any other Myers-Briggs fans out there, what would you tell them? What do you think makes the Enneagram better? Because I agree.
I think how I saw it described somewhere, and which I feel like is very true, is that Myers-Briggs sort of tells you what you do, and it can change. So it's not really true to the core of who you are. And Enneagram tells you why.
Yeah.
Just in a short, brief description.
Yes. And I think it's valuable. I like that you brought up that the Myers-Briggs can change, because your Enneagram number does not change.
Right.
People are very resistant to that fact when I tell them
when I tell people, like, you can't be just one of 9 things for your whole entire life. You change and you grow. And I'm like, that's the point, is that the Enneagram tells you how you change and you grow through your life and through unhealthy and healthy periods of your life. So yes, that is the point of it.
Yes. Your Enneagram number is the path that you are on. It's not the ending place. It's the whole journey, right? But yes, you have been, I'm sorry to say, you have been one number your entire life. Yeah. But people get very, very resistant to that
I think people are resistant to being boxed in or labeled as anything. Yeah. Especially to be told that, like, you can't be anything else ever. And that's not really what it's saying. It's saying, like, you are at the core of who you are. You are going to be, this person throughout your whole life. You just learn to grow and be a healthier version of it. Hopefully.
I agree. And I think it's valuable. Yeah, hopefully. And I think it's valuable. Like, when I do corporate stuff, a lot of people talk about, if they're talking about Myers-Briggs, they're like, oh, I tested like this when I was younger, but who knows what I am now. Right. Blah, 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 all the things. And it is valuable to have something that is the same your whole life. Yes. Right? Like, if you were an 8 when you were younger, you're an 8 now. You don't have to retest.
It's unless like you having a foundation of who you are. Yeah. Like, do you want to constantly be like, oh, well, now I don't know what I am now because I feel different constantly now. Yeah. Exactly.
I agree. Okay. You brought it up, but I think it's interesting and cool that you did immediately test as a 6 and were basically like, oh yeah, I'm a 6. Mm-hmm. Did you ever struggle with any other numbers?
Yes. I would say when I first was looking into it, like back in like high school, college, and then when I got reintroduced, I think maybe for like a second, I struggled with it a little bit. I was like, I don't know. I feel like maybe 3, maybe 8, because 3 kind of makes sense when I'm in stress. I'm like, I see a lot of that. But then you read about, this has helped me a lot to eliminate the other numbers, is that you read about their weaknesses or they're unhealthy. And I'm like, oh, that's not me. I would never do something like that. And so, it pretty quickly eliminates. And I think the reason that we struggle with it, and definitely why I struggled with like other numbers, is because like you read the healthy traits or just like the characteristics of other numbers, and they're generally positive. And you're like, we all have a little bit of that. It's like, I totally do. I'm totally driven. Like I am ambitious too. And so you want to be that number. But I think that what has helped me and helped when other people I see struggle with their number, I say read the unhealthy traits and see if you do any of those. And usually people are like, oh my gosh, no, I would never do that. Yeah. So
what were the parts of 3 and 8 that you were looking at and you were like, I would never do that? Do you remember?
I can't remember exactly what was said, but I know 3s and had been in a relationship with a 3. And those unhealthy traits, just like the very, to put it like lightly, just like very childish, like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, I would never. That there's just some levels that get stooped down to that are just like bratty that I just would not go there. Now, granted, my unhealthy traits were not fabulous either, but I read them and I'm like, oh, that's actually me. I have to actually own up to those ones. Those sound like me, unhealthy. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I'm a 3 as well. So I imagine that the unhealthy parts of 3, which is this like narcissism, it is this like focusing only on yourself. It's forgetting that other people are not just a bag of personality traits. It is like what I love. I do genuinely, I love that you use the word childish because I agree with it. And I think that's especially interesting coming from a 6. So expand on that a little more. Like what part of that lower level of 3 is childish to you?
I think and this is in my personal experience. Too, by the way. So I don't want to like overgeneralize and offend all the 3s out there.
You're probably right.
But when it's, let me think here. just I would say with sixes, and as like for myself, and usually among sixes that I know, there is just certain levels, like our rules, very strong on integrity. That's how someone has actually recently described me, is she has intense integrity. Like, and that's just was the first word that she used to describe me. And I was like, I'm super proud of that. I was like, yeah, I take a lot of pride in that. So there are just some levels, I think, that like, no matter how angry I am, no matter how much someone has wronged me, I cannot meet them at the same low level. And I just absolutely will not go there. Whereas like with unhealthy threes that I know have like cut deep, like, and not even because it was like deserved or the other person like, you know, did something to them. It was just maybe that they like challenged them, or they didn't give them what they wanted, or like embarrassed them or something. And then so they had to go to like find the weak spot in that person and like poke it. And I'm like, wow, you're just quick to do that. Very quick and swift.
I've heard people talk about threes a lot. I've heard this especially from eights. Talk about threes will sabotage people. And I just think that's something that I don't think a six would do that in that way. You know, just like totally throw somebody else under the bus with like zero regard for how that person is feeling.
Yeah.
I think that absolutely is a trait of unhealthy threes who don't know they're threes, who don't know that that's what they're doing.
Right.
They will sabotage people.
Very unaware that that's what they're doing. They're not like at all thinking like, I really want to just take people down just for the fun of it, and just because like it's usually a unhealthy, like very not self-aware three.
I think because I am in the brain of a three, it's a response to, I tell people our brains are constantly comparing us to other people, whether we know it or not. If you are a three and you're listening to this, your brain does that too. And what happens is that when your brain has decided you've lost, like when your brain has compared you to someone as a three,
it's very win-lose.
Has decided you've lost. It's very win-lose. You feel this it's subconscious until you can name it, right? Like now I know that this is happening to me, so I can choose to not respond to it. But you have this immediate pull in you, or like push to outperform that other person.
Yeah, and
which is crazy.
And it's almost like outperform by like, okay, I lost, so now let me make sure that you lose more than me.
Yeah, if I can't make myself better, I'll just make you worse.
I'll just drag you down.
Like
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yes,
that I'm like,
of those are
wow.
Like, I don't think a six is so community oriented, you know?
Yeah. And it's, I think that certainly with sixes, it because we're in the same path, right? Like 3, 6, and 9.
3, 6, 9.
It can look similar. I think that the reason for sixes is different. It's not when we get, because sixes have that very explosive downward spiral, just explosion. I'm very familiar with this.
Yes.
And the reason for that usually is like there's a right and wrong way to do things. And if someone like very much crossed that like moral, your values, whatever values a six has, someone crossed that in a very, very, very obvious, blatant way. It's like, okay, we're coming for you. Like it's just very swift and quick, but it's usually not out of like, oh, I feel like I lost. It's just a different reason.
It's the head triad versus the heart triad.
Yeah.
Like yours is based on a fear and mine is based on ego, right? And shame and like all the things. I think sixes do it more out of protection for themselves and their
most definitely
whatever they feel like they're protecting, right? And threes do it out of an image crafting place.
Yes. Yeah, I do know that about threes. When I can tell now that someone is a three, and they're usually not aware of the Enneagram or whatnot, I know to not really challenge their ego.
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't poke that bear. I used to kind of for like, just, I'd be like annoyed and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to let you do that to me. But I'm like, just don't go down that. Be the healthier person, Joleen.
Yes, and it's hard. That's one of the things that Enneagram does. I tell people it doesn't make other people any easier to work with.
Right.
It just makes you better at working with them.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
It doesn't make those unhealthy threes out in the world any better. You feel the same amount of like annoyance. Is that a word?
Yes. Well, it is to me.
The same level of annoyed. Yeah, whatever. You feel the same level of frustration.
Same
all the things.
same everything. It's just like, it's almost like more frustrating because it's like, now I know why.
Yeah.
But I can't sit
know.
here and I can't like explain it to you because then I sound like condescending. So I just have to be like, okay, you just have to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, I just
take a breath and
I wish that person knew the Enneagram.
Yeah, and I have gotten a lot of my friends on the Enneagram though for this reason. Nice. It's great.
Has it made your friendships better?
It did. Yeah, not only that, but it makes their lives better also, and it's helped me so much that I'm like, I want everybody to have this. Like, it's just made my life so much better. Like, yes, it's frustrating that maybe when you run into people who don't know it, and like I'm sitting there like, okay, I wish that you knew it. But it's still helpful because then you're not racking your brain like, why would someone do something like this? Like, I can't even understand why. And now it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of understand like why.
Yeah, I do get why you would do that.
Yeah, actually, I know exactly why you would do that.
Right. I'm not going to hold that against you. I understand. Yeah. I agree. Okay. Before we go too far down that road, I actually want to backtrack to something you said. You talked about sixes. You have this explosive, what did you say? Downturn?
Like downward spiral.
Downward spiral.
It's like, we call it, I don't remember what, but in my family, because I'm a 6 and one of my younger brothers is a 6, and my stepmom called it, what did she say? Oh, she'll say sixed out. He sixed out. And so that's, and we know exactly.
Meaning that they're big and a little bit.
It was an explosion. The way she describes it, because I'm not gonna throw myself under the bus here. He's like 9, course. So we're gonna use a 9-year-old sixing out. She'll just say that, it's like, you just get out of the way. You need to just like, she's shut herself in the room, and he's just going, and there is no calming him down. There is no logicking. Is that a word? There is no reasoning. There is just no like, hey, like, calm down. It's not a big deal. Don't ever say that. It's just let us. We're angry. It's past a point. It gets past a certain point of there's no return. We've just got to get out of it ourselves.
So what is actually happening? Like, what is he doing?
Well, I'll now use myself here because I know in my head what's going on. It's usually that it's a spiral. It is just that something happens and it takes you down like this whole path of like essentially your fears. And so say like, I don't know, I'll just give like some example here, like say my partner says something off, just like, oh no, like I don't think we need to like hang out today or something like that. I don't know.
Whatever.
And maybe that would have triggered when I was like really unhealthy to just be like, oh, like, are we drifting apart? Like, is our relationship not okay? Is there something that has not happened? Like, does he not respect me anymore? Is that why? Because I wanted to do this and now he doesn't want to do it. Am I in the right relationship? And then it turns into this whole thing. And then when I'm like, well, why not? And then the answer isn't what I want to hear. Maybe it's something just like, because it's not a big deal. I'm like, oh, this relationship isn't a big deal to him. Oh my gosh, we do it. And then it just turns into this whole thing. And then it turns into like just explosion in your head.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, eventually you're at the biggest possible answer, right?
Yeah, and it's usually like you just jump to worst case scenario. And I've worked on this so much now, so I'm like having a hard time pulling out like examples.
No, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely I feel like when I was younger, I had a very hard time if plans changed. Like, I remember being like a kid, and I have a one mom, and she's very like, you just do it. Like, if you plans change, you just do. You just go and do like the different thing. And I'd be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, I can't understand why we're not like sticking to the path, the plan that we had, and it was not good. No.
What was so upsetting about the plans changing for you?
I think I plan things so far in advance. I envision that I am like, okay, I'm preparing myself. If I have anxiety, if it's a new thing, I might be having anxiety about it already. And so if we're like getting ready to go do it, I've hyped myself up. I've thought about it the entire day before. I've thought about it all morning and how it's going to go. And I've packed the right things for it. And I'm ready. I'm ready for my mission. And all of a sudden it's, now we have to go here. This isn't the plan anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean?
What?
I just planned all of this. You said we were doing this. You said this is a big thing. I notice with myself and other sixes. Like, no, you said you can't just change this. You said this, and we're stuck, very rigid. Actually, a therapist told me that I was very rigid. I was like, excuse me.
Hello.
Yeah, but it's
how'd that make you feel when she told you that?
I thought she didn't know me well enough. I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't matter that you say that because you don't know me enough.
Obviously, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, you licensed professional. Not you.
Right.
Yeah.
How dare you?
But it's true. You know, I had the time to think about it, of course. And I was like, yes, when I want things to be a certain way, or I've set my mind to it, or we've made a plan to do things a certain way, I have to stop for a second and be like, okay, like, it's fine. We can do this different plan.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Let's do it. It's okay.
Let's do it. I want to point out for anybody listening, so there's a lot of sixes walking around out there who think that they are threes, and a lot of sixes walking around out there who think that they're eights, right? And I think what you have just said is a really, really good differentiator between a six in the responsive stance and threes and eights who are in the independent stance. So I'm just going to illustrate something for anybody listening, and then I'll have you kind of respond to it, right? Threes and eights are in the independent stance. That means that we live easiest in the future. We have a goal. We have somewhere where we're going. And the way that you get to that goal is actually not as important. So if the little things about the plan change, that doesn't really affect us as much because this is just, I think, one of the pros of being in the independent stance. You can pivot very well if you're a 3 or an 8, right?
Pivoting is like hard. It's very hard.
I think a lot of 6s think that they are good at pivoting because they feel like they are recovering quickly. But I think a 3 or 8 would tell you that that doesn't seem to me a thing that I would need to recover from.
It's not even like a thought that you have to pivot. Yeah. Whereas like, I feel like I have gotten so good at pivoting. I'm good at it because I do change plans sometimes. I'm good at it.
Right.
Whereas I the 3s and 8s in my life, and the 1s, it's just like, oh, change. Like it just happens.
Going on.
There isn't a thought that it is a pivot. It's just
that's
going about your normal day.
Exactly. I agree. So I just wanted to point that out because I think I actually might have you repeat what you said before we started this podcast about 6s, but I think it is especially helpful for 6s to hear other 6s talk about what it feels like to be a 6, right? And so as we go, I'm going to try to point out some things, right? That some people, if they're listening, this is what it feels like to be a 6, right? This is why you might feel similar to a 3 or an 8, why you might feel similar to any other numbers anyway. But while we're here, before we started this podcast, before we hit record, you had something to say about 6s and the complexity of 6s. Oh. Do you remember? Do you want to say that again?
I think. I remember.
It was great.
Yeah, I was saying there is so many layers to a 6. There's so much depth to a 6, and how when I first took the test that there was just a very brief description of 6s. Is that what I was saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it didn't resonate. Like I was just like, okay, cool. Like thanks for the very brief description, but you just can't with 6s. You cannot do 1-page descriptions. There are so many layers, and I think that's definitely why a lot of people mistype as something else, or they don't want to be a 6 because we don't resonate with that one page quick summary of you're a 6. Like, here's your test result. And it doesn't hit at all. There's a lot of depth to a 6 that cannot be reached with one paragraph summary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, what do I want to say about that? In my experiences with 6s, if someone comes up to me at the end of a class and they're like, I don't know what number I am, after they've just sat through a whole thing, it's very normal to not know your number after like your first introduction to the Enneagram. But my first thought is, okay, you might be a 6, because in my experience, 6s need to be walked through every other number and told why they aren't that other number.
Very thorough.
Because 6s very thorough, very, very, very
We're
thorough.
not going to just accept like, you told me one thing and you didn't tell me about anything else. I'm not going to just take your word for it that this is what I am, without knowing for a fact that I have eliminated every other possibility.
Right. Why does that connect that to the core of 6 for me? Why is that so important? Like, if you read something that seems like you, why does it feel so important to, but still make sure that all these other things aren't me?
I know for me, it is not wanting to be wrong. There is a very strong fear of being wrong. And it seems so silly because it's just like, okay, who cares if you're wrong? Then you just move on to the next one, which I've learned to do. But yeah, definitely a lot of fear around that. And I think that's where it stems from. It's silly. It seems silly to use the word fear, but I do think that's where it comes from. And so just in life with everything that we do, it has to be we have to know for fact that it is the correct thing. And the only way to do that is by being extremely thorough. And I think that maybe comes from a bit of our 5 wing also. If we have a really strong 5 wing, we can do a lot of research and making sure that we've crossed every T, dotted every I on every little thing to make sure that we've got it right. If we're gonna stand behind something, we are gonna do it with our whole chest, and it better be right. Because you're not gonna catch us being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sit here and like preach to you about the Enneagram, how great it is, and I'm a 6, and I know all of this, and I'm so well informed about it, just to later be like, oh, I was totally wrong.
Kidding.
Like, no big deal. Sorry, I was actually wrong about that. Like, it's actually a really big deal. No, I'm not going to do that.
What's so scary about being wrong? What happens if you're wrong?
For me, I would feel like I would lose credibility. Why should anybody believe me? Why should anyone listen to me ever again? And which essentially, now that I'm feeling this, would make me lose a sense of community. And 6s are very community oriented, and we cannot lose our people. I've learned this a lot, like as I've gotten more into Enneagram, that is a lot of where my fears come from. Is you do not, with the circles that we've established, usually with 6s are small and tight, and we do not want to lose that.
What would happen if you lost them?
You could definitely feel like, oh, that there goes that spiral explosiveness. Definitely for me, it triggers like strong fear in my body. I feel it in my chest. Like if I feel like something has happened to someone important to me, like those few people, there's very select few people that I do not want anything to happen, that I would not have their support.
Right.
I have to feel that I always have their support in life, no matter what, and I don't have to think about it. And if I've done something to compromise that, that would be very scary. I might go to unhealthy 6.
So I think this is fascinating, by the way. I think you talk about this in an incredibly succinct and like put together way, in a way that is hard. I think it is hard for a lot of 6s to be this clear about what they're feeling, right? So first of all, incredible job.
A lot of self personal development, self work.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it in how you're talking. You're doing a beautiful job. My next question for you is this sense of needing security. Something that I have learned to say when I talk about sixes is that sixes, but I still feel like maybe these aren't the exact right words, so maybe you can help me with this a little bit, but sixes have lost the connection to themselves that lets them stand on their own 2 feet. Like, I don't need to be surrounded by people because I can support me, right? Like that sort of thing. Sixes don't trust what they think. They don't feel like they can do it on their own, but also they do. Like, you see a lot of sixes say, I'm very independent. But then when you get further into it, you know, they do need this group of community and all the things. Anyway, my point is I say that sixes have lost, that there's like a break in them that they can't trust themselves, right? They talk about trusting themselves, but then they don't really when you get into the nitty gritty.
Right. So we have to talk about it all the time because we actually don't.
Yeah. Just talk about that for me. What does that feel like to not be able to trust yourself on a very
That's definitely
ground
something
level?
that I have worked on so much. And I think more so recently, I've been learning to be a lot more comfortable making decisions without checking with someone. That's a big thing. And I used to think, oh, I don't care what people think, because we actually don't care what a lot of people think. But what those people in our circle, we care a lot. And they're what I call the sixes committee. We all have a committee of people in our head that we will ask. And we have to, it's like we're getting their approval to even start things, to start projects, things that really only affect us, that other people would just be like, oh, I've just decided to start this and I'm just going to do it. And for whatever reason, we feel that we need the support of our chosen committee to tell us if we're not even like, oh yeah, you can do it. It's just like, am I thinking everything through? Is this a good idea for me? You know me so well. Like, what do you think? A lot of that, and not trusting that we know ourselves well enough or that we know what's best for ourselves. And so, yeah, I can't really say like where exactly that comes from or why, but like that's definitely what I feel for sure. And
so you're not. Keep going.
I think I've learned. I think becoming a mom actually has changed this so much for me. And it has, I don't know if it's like postpartum hormones or whatever, they call it postpartum rage, where you're just like, I really don't care. I don't, I just am going to just do, and you just don't have the time or energy, lack of sleep. I don't know. But I just don't have the time to sit and process and think about like, oh, maybe I should ask this person if I should do it. Maybe I should see if this is the right thing. And I think also I feel a lot more empowered that I know it's best for my own child. And there is nothing in the world that I have felt more confident that I am the ultimate expert in. There is nobody in the world that knows what's better for my child than me. And I have every ounce of confidence in that. And I think about this now more than ever, that every six should feel that way about anything we decide to do. Like if we had this amount of confidence to just be like, this is what I'm doing. I've done my research. I trust myself and my intuition and what I'm going to be choosing for my child. And I'm going to do it. And it actually doesn't matter if anybody disagrees with me. And if we had that for other things in our lives, we'd probably take over the world.
Has it? First of all, I agree with you. I agree with you. Sixes, I think there are a lot of you, and I think that you are, if you had that plus your sense of community that you carry with you, you just would take the world away with you. I agree with you. So you've entered into motherhood. You've entered into this new, I'll use the word era. That feels silly.
It is. It really is.
I do finally have this thing that I know what I'm talking about, and you can't tell me any different. I was going to ask, before you told that motherhood story, when you were talking about the committee, I was going to say, so it doesn't sound like you're asking for permission, right? You're not asking the committee, can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? You're just asking for opinions? Would that be the right
I would
word?
say more so that I don't trust that I have either thought through everything or that I know what's best for myself or what's best for this decision I'm trying to make. It's like I have so many thoughts that, and for whatever reason, we think our 100 million thoughts, we haven't crossed every single one. It's like, it doesn't matter how many run through our head, there's one we missed. We have to double check and make sure that the people who care about us and want our best, have our best interest in mind, also put in their 2 cents. And we also are getting, we've crossed every single bridge that needs to be crossed before we make a final decision that we put all of our energy into. Actually, this is how it's been described to me, is that like anything I do, like anything I touch is going to turn to gold. Anything I do is going to get 110% of my effort. It's going to get every single ounce of me. And I'm just not going to put it anywhere. Because also, sixes, I feel we don't have the same amount of energy also that like a 3 or an 8 or a 1 does to just like do all of their things and like just energize your bunnies. All of you, 1, 3s, 8s, I'm like, watch you, and 7s, so like just energize your bunnies all over the place. Yeah. And that is just not an energy I think that we have to give every single thing 110%, but we don't really want to do it unless it's done well.
Right. And I think this, I'll tell a little story. This is funny. So I was in a cohort with Joey Shuey, who's Suzanne Steele's daughter, and she was teaching about 6s and 8s and the difference between the 2 numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember exactly how she did it, but she basically had this thing where she's like, you know, a lot of 6s type themselves as 3 and 8s because they do feel like they have a lot of energy. Like you said, everything you do gets 110%. Everything you do gets done to the best possible level, all the things. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about maybe 3s, 8s, and 6s or something like that. She was like, how many of you feel like you can do whatever you want to? You put your all into everything you do, all the things, right? And all of us raised our hands. And then she was like, okay, how often do you get overwhelmed by all of those things? And the 3s and 8s were like, never. And the 6s were like, all the time.
Yeah. Every single thing I do is I end up getting overwhelmed by thought. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, I'm like, I have this podcast equipment from years ago from my whole idea to start a podcast. And I got all the equipment. I found researched mics, researched headphones, researched the best like software to use, researched the best platform to like all research topics, and then I was like, wow, that was really tiring. I'm just going to come back to this later. I'm tired enough. Now. Yeah. We'll come back to this later, and then it doesn't ever get started. So
that's like, it's not that 6s. It's not any of the. I'll spread this out to all the responsive stance numbers. It's not that you guys are not intelligent. It's not that you can't handle as much. It's not any of that.
And I think that's why we don't like to like admit to these things.
Right.
It feels like weakness.
It just sounds like you're carrying a lot more.
Yeah. There's a lot more going on up here that is that becomes draining, I would say.
Yes. I wonder if that's your connection to the feeling center, right? Like 2s, 4s, and 6s all process in feeling. And then 1s are supported by feeling, right? So their security number their stress number is 4. That means they're supported by feeling. 3, 7, and 8s are feeling repressed. So I wonder if that's what this difference is. I say when you are using the feeling center, what you're doing is you're being aware of other people's agendas, right? You're connecting with other people. You really want to know what other people are thinking and feeling.
Yes.
And 3s and 8s just aren't worried about that. I don't care what you're feeling.
It's like, I'm just going to do it anyway. Like, And
I think in our culture, sorry, this is the last thing I'll say. I'm going to lose the thought.
No. Yeah.
I think in our culture that's seen as you are better and you can handle more.
Yes.
Really what's happening is that we're just not, you guys are more willing to pick up the feelings of other people than we are. You just have to juggle more. And then it's not fair for us to compare ourselves to you and say, oh, we're just faster, right? You have a heavy load.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think that was really helpful, and that realization was really helpful for me in being very okay with that's just how I am. I'm a 6, and this is just the way I go through life.
Yes.
And I forever was like, especially like when I was, in school and like early 20s, like working. And I'm just like, how come I can't just do things like the way that other people do? Why am I not like, I want that and I'm just going to go and get it and I'm going to do it very quickly and I'm going to be the fastest and the best at it and I'm going to get there before anybody else. And why can't I just do that? Like, I must not be cut out for, I majored in business. I'm like, I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't for my personality. I don't have that. Like, that's, like you said, it's very, in society, it's very rewarded to be that way more so. And it's more so seen as, I don't know, weaker to not be as quick to go after things. So I don't want to say, it's not always ruthlessly, just like feeling repressed. It's not, you don't have to stop to think about. Yeah, and like in such a good, it's necessary for the world, and I think also realizing that every single number is necessary, like there isn't like, oh, well, like I'm not a 3, so I just can't go after things. Like that's not the case. You go after them differently. And I carry the weight of how is this going to make other people feel? And, does this support my goal and also keep my community, my committee, thriving? And I think about all of those things. And so, it's different. But at the end of the day, like I'll be happier that I stopped and considered the feelings of all the people in my life that are important. Because if I get there and I've achieved my goal, but I've managed to burn all of my bridges of everyone closest to me, then what's the point? Then I would be very unhappy. I'd be very miserable. I'd be very disappointed in myself. And I would have wished that I never did it in the first place.
Yeah. I think one of the gifts of being a 6 is that you know that already. I think one of the detriments of being a 3 is that you have to get there to find that out. Like we are
That's convinced. That's a good way to put it.
We are convinced that we'll be okay and we don't need people. And then you get to where you want to be. I've just seen, I'm 26. I don't really think this has happened to me yet, but I've seen a lot of older 3s say, I got to where I always wanted to be. And then I just was lonely. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. A lot of very high achieving people.
Yeah. Very lonely. Do you feel lonely very often?
Not anymore. I used to. I definitely felt very very, very misunderstood, very different, all the things I'm sure a lot of 6s feel. And I think I used to feel that way when I was younger. I just felt like, why am I not also like not as the social? I'm also not like I'm not a 6 social. So I don't know if we're getting into subtypes now, but so definitely being a one-to-one self-pres, very much so. Like I like my one-to-one relationships. And so,
Okay. This is how I end all my podcasts. You said you're 32? Mm-hmm. You're 32. Okay, so we're going to go back 10 years. You're 22. What would you tell her if you had to tell her something?
Oh, man. So many things.
Yeah.
I just graduated. Yeah, I graduated when I was 21. So I had just about graduated. I would say don't stress out so much about making the perfect decision for the rest of your life. And just try a lot of things. Try everything that you feel like. Try hobbies. Try like traveling. Try whatever random silly jobs that maybe don't align with what sounds like is going to get you on track to where you see your 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 year goals. Just do life, because otherwise we're going to go down this path of constantly stopping ourselves, and we're not filling these years with experiences that actually teach us and guide us to where we're supposed to end up. So that's what I would tell myself.
I think that's great. I think one of the other things you've kind of opened up for me in this interview is how similar 1s and 6s are too. just because you're talking a lot about like there's rules and there's a right way.
Well,
to
I
do
was
things,
raised
right?
by a
And
one, so I'm sure that's a
so
lot in my language as well.
That is probably true. That is probably true. But you're responsive stance people, right? Like you like to do things. But I think what you said at the beginning of this podcast is the most interesting part about what it's connected to. Like it is connected to a sense of security and stability and all these other things for you. Whereas for a one, it would be connected to something different, right?
Right. For ones, I think, and this is a whole nother rabbit hole I could go down, but because I know ones so well, because I studied my mom. And so it's very much that there is a very clear right and wrong for everybody, for the world, that everybody should abide by.
Oh, love.
Whereas sixes, it's sort of like, for me. This is what's right and wrong for me and my life and my community of people that I've chosen. And I can stick to that. And I can see that there is gray in the world. Whereas the ones in my life are, no, it is black and white. These are the rules of the world and everybody should follow them.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I was going to ramble for about 30 minutes about that. And you summed it up in 2 sentences. That was beautiful.
It explains me a lot. Yeah.
It's great. So the other thing I've heard from ones and sixes, again, this is from Joey Shuey, is that ones at the end of the day are always going to think they're right. You have to learn to be a little more flexible, right?
Yes.
Like you will never convince a one that they don't know the right thing to do.
I love the ones in my life, but man, we have gotten into, they're the ones that I fight the most with and the hardest with. But at the end of the day, we're always okay. We're just like, you know what? It's okay. We're just going to agree to disagree. And I'll walk away and be like, we disagree. And the ones walk away and are like, I'm right. I'm just going to let them think that they are.
Yeah, she's stupid. Yeah,
she's
exactly.
dumb.
Exactly.
I'm actually right. But we're just going to stop because this is getting pointless now. And they're never going to realize that they're wrong. So I'm going to just stop.
Yes. And one of the gifts of sixes, like you've said, is that there is gray and that you have this built-in ability to defer to other people's thinking, right? You are a responsive thinker. You defer to other people's thinking.
A lot of compassion. I feel like sixes have a lot of compassion. I would say it's rooted in.
I think that's a great word. I love that word for that. That's great. Sixes, we love you. You have a lot of gifts.
You do.
I know we talk a lot about all the negatives of all the numbers, but sixes, like you said, I think sixes are one of the most complex. I think sixes are the most misunderstood number by the Enneagram community. I don't think they're the most. I think eights are the most misunderstood number, like in the world. Like people don't understand where eights are coming from. Right. But I think in the Enneagram community, people don't talk about sixes very well.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until, because for me, once I started digging into it, I was like, oh, this all makes sense to me. Like, of course, like this isn't confusing or misunderstanding at all. Yeah. Like this all makes perfect clear sense to me. And the more podcasts, the more, resources and community I'm listening to and reading up on, I'm like, oh wow, like people have a hard time with sixes, and most sixes aren't going in and like opening up and saying like, actually, this is how we are.
Scary.
So
it's scary. Okay, so here's the actual podcast ending question. Okay, if you could go in and change one thing about how people are talking about sixes, what would you change, or what would you give the Enneagram community? However you want to answer that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's hard to say because like the way that it is, like now I'm in a space where like everything that they say rings true, all the fears, anxieties, and all of that, and I'm very open to that though. Maybe in the beginning, maybe diving more into. I like how you did dive a lot into how what we're doing is considering the feelings of other people and trying to get to our goal. By the journey is important for our goal.
Yes, it is.
And the feelings of people around us are important. And I think that is such a strength. And I think maybe people don't think that for whatever reason. Like, oh, you just care too much what people think. It's like, no, we're being considerate of other people because you need to move through the world that way. And that's what's gonna, support each other and keep it going around and lifting each other up. And I do think that's a superpower. And I haven't heard it described that way, but I did really like that. So I think that is what I think would be helpful to contribute more to the six community and talking about sixes.
Yeah. I think maybe focus a little less on sixes are so worried about having a community and that they are,
or that it's a fear, or that it's an anxiety.
Yeah,
it's a consideration. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Thank you, Joleen.
Thank you so much for having me.
For illuminating six for us. It was lovely.
I had a great time. Thank you.
If people, here's the last thing. If people want to find you on Instagram, where can they find you?
You can find me at Joleen, Joleen .Nguyen, Nguyen, my first name and last name. I post a lot of motherhood stuff, but also some just fun things in life. And yeah, feel free to follow me there.
Great. All right, we'll link it in the description.
Awesome.
Thank you, Joleen.
Thank you so much.
Again. Bye-bye.
Hey friends, it's Jeff. We're entering a new season. We have started 4 new podcasts on this channel and are working on our second book and hoping to elevate more voices in the Enneagram world over the coming year. If these episodes are important to you, there's 3 things you can do for us. First, you can buy a copy of our first book, Around the Circle, on Amazon for yourself and your 10 closest friends for Christmas. Second, you can review that book or our podcast with a note, 5 stars. This really helps people find our feed. And best of all, you can go sign up as a member at aroundthecircle.org. Even free members get half of the stuff that we post there. So go. Books, stars, memberships. This will allow us to create great content for years to come. Appreciate all you all. Appreciate your notes of encouragement, and may all good things be yours.